Chapter 24 marks the beginning of the final hunt for Count Dracula. The group prepares for a long journey to catch him before he can safely return to his castle. At the same time, Mina Harker shows remarkable courage and wisdom, playing a vital role in the plan to stop Dracula. But time is running out, and the danger continues to grow. Dr. Seward and the others wait anxiously for Lord Godalming and Quincy Morris. Jonathan Harker looks very different. His hair has turned white from shock and sadness, but he is still determined to destroy Dracula. Van Helsing explains that Dracula is becoming smarter every day. He learns from his mistakes and slowly improves his plans. If nobody stops him, he could create many more vampires. Van Helsing explains that Dracula first needed help moving his boxes of earth. Later, he learned to move them himself and hid them in many secret places. The hunters have already destroyed almost all of Dracula's safe hiding places. Only one remains. Then Mina sends a telegram warning them that Dracula has left Carfax and is moving south. Lord Godalming and Quincy Morris arrive with good news. They destroyed all the remaining boxes at 2 different locations. Now the group waits inside the house because they know Dracula will soon return. Quincy quickly places everyone in the best position for an attack. Suddenly, Dracula jumps into the room with incredible speed. Jonathan attacks him with his kukri knife, but Dracula dodges at the last second. The knife cuts Dracula's coat instead, causing money and gold to fall onto the floor. The hunters raise their crucifixes and sacred wafers. Dracula is forced to step back because he cannot face their holy weapons. Before anyone can stop him, Dracula grabs some of his money, smashes through the window, and escapes into the street below. Suddenly, Dracula jumps into the room with incredible speed. Jonathan attacks him with his kukri knife, but Dracula dodges at the last second. The knife cuts Dracula's coat instead, causing money and gold to fall onto the floor. The hunters raise their crucifixes and sacred wafers. Dracula is forced to step back because he cannot face their holy weapons. Before anyone can stop him, Dracula grabs some of his money, smashes through the window, and escapes into the street below. The hunters realize they have failed to catch Dracula. They return home to protect Mina. Mina welcomes them with courage even though she is afraid. She gently comforts Jonathan, kisses him, and tells him not to lose hope because God is with them. Everyone eats dinner together, and although they are still sad, they feel a little stronger. Mina tells everyone something important. She says they must destroy Dracula, but they should not hate him. She believes Dracula's soul is trapped in evil, and destroying the vampire will finally free him. She asks everyone to show mercy, even to their greatest enemy. Her kindness surprises everyone. Jonathan cannot forgive Dracula. He says he wishes he could send Dracula's soul to hell forever. Mina gently stops him. She reminds Jonathan that if she ever becomes a vampire, she will also need mercy. Her words touch everyone's heart. The men begin to cry, and Jonathan falls to his knees, holding Mina tightly. Van Helsing quietly leads the others out, leaving the husband and wife alone to pray. Van Helsing protects Mina's room with holy objects so Dracula cannot enter. The men take turns guarding the house through the night. Later, Jonathan writes in his diary. He says only one earth box remains, and only Dracula knows where it is. Jonathan still has hope because Mina is kind, brave, and full of faith. He thanks God because Mina sleeps peacefully without nightmares. He knows the final battle against Dracula is getting closer. Later that night, Jonathan wakes up because Mina hears someone outside their room. Jonathan quietly opens the door and sees Quincy Morris guarding them. Quincy tells him everything is safe. The hunters are taking turns protecting Mina all night. Mina smiles with relief and thanks God for having such brave friends. Before sunrise, Mina suddenly has an important idea. She asks Van Helsing to hypnotize her before dawn. Everyone gathers quietly around her bed. Van Helsing begins the hypnosis, and Mina slowly falls into a deep trance. She opens her eyes, but she seems far away, as if her mind is somewhere else. Van Helsing asks Mina simple questions. She says she cannot see anything because it is dark. She hears water. She hears sailors walking above her. She hears an anchor chain being raised. Van Helsing realizes the truth. Dracula is on a ship leaving London. The hunters finally have a new clue. Van Helsing explains that Dracula escaped London because almost all of his earth boxes were destroyed. He took his last earth box onto a ship. The Count believes he is safe, but Van Helsing promises they will follow him wherever he goes. The hunters now know their next mission is to chase Dracula across the sea. After breakfast, Mina asks why they must continue chasing Dracula if he has already left England. Van Helsing gives a sad answer. He says Dracula can live forever, but Mina cannot, because Dracula has bitten and marked her neck. Time is now their greatest enemy. If they do not destroy Dracula soon, Mina may slowly become a vampire. Hearing this terrible truth, Mina faints, and Jonathan catches her before she falls. Van Helsing leaves a recorded message for Jonathan. He tells Jonathan to stay with Mina because protecting her is now his most important duty. Van Helsing is certain that Dracula has already left England and is returning to his castle in Transylvania. He says Dracula escaped because the hunters destroyed almost all of his earth boxes. The professor believes they will defeat Dracula in the end if they stay united and never lose hope. Jonathan reads Van Helsing's message to Mina. She feels much better after hearing that Dracula is no longer in England. The couple spends the day reading all of their diaries again. Jonathan still feels hope, but every time he sees the red mark on Mina's forehead, he remembers that Dracula is still a danger. The hunters search London's docks to discover which ship Dracula escaped on. They learn that only one ship left for the Black Sea that night. The ship's name is Serena Catherine. They visit the dock and question the workers. Everyone describes the same strange man, very tall and thin, pale face, bright eyes, dressed in black with a straw hat. The workers recognize him as Dracula. Dracula brings his last earth box to the ship by horse and cart. He pays the captain to carry it safely. Before the ship leaves, a thick fog suddenly surrounds only the dock. The strange fog delays the ship. When the fog clears, Dracula is gone, but his earth box is already on board. The hunters realize Dracula used his supernatural powers to escape without anyone noticing. Van Helsing discovers that the ship is sailing to Varna, on the Black Sea. The hunters decide to travel over land because it will be faster than the sailing ship. Their plan is to reach Varna first and destroy Dracula while he is still sleeping inside his earth box during the daytime. Van Helsing explains why they cannot stop chasing Dracula. He says Dracula has already infected Mina. Even if Dracula never attacks her again, she could slowly become a vampire after she dies. The hunters believe they have a duty to protect Mina and save other people from Dracula. They promise to destroy him, no matter how far they must travel. Van Helsing says Dracula is not just a monster. He is intelligent, patient, and never gives up. For hundreds of years, Dracula prepared his plan to come to England. He learned new languages, new customs, and how people lived. Now that he has gained experience, he could become even more dangerous if he is allowed to escape. After a long discussion, the group decides not to rush. They will sleep, think carefully, and meet again the next morning. Everyone wants the best plan before beginning the final journey. Mina feels peaceful for a short time, but when she sees the red scar on her forehead in a mirror, she remembers that Dracula's curse is still with her. The next morning, everyone feels stronger after sleeping. Dr. Seward notices that Mina sometimes forgets her pain, but he also notices something strange. She often stays silent, even when she seems to know something important. He worries that Dracula's blood is beginning to affect her mind. Van Helsing secretly tells Dr. Seward that Mina is beginning to change. He notices her teeth are becoming slightly sharper. Her eyes sometimes look harder. She has long moments of strange silence. Van Helsing fears Dracula may be able to read Mina's thoughts because they are connected through the vampire's blood. To protect everyone, he decides Mina must no longer know the group's secret plans. This decision breaks his heart, but he believes it is necessary. The hunters begin planning their journey. Van Helsing says Dracula's ship will need about 3 weeks to reach Varna, but the group can travel there by land in only 3 days. This means they should arrive long before Dracula. Quincy Morris suggests taking Winchester rifles as extra protection because Dracula's homeland is full of wolves. Everyone agrees. Jonathan notices something strange. Mina chooses not to join the meeting. He does not understand why everyone seems relieved by her decision. He watches Mina sleeping peacefully and thanks God that she can still find moments of happiness. When Mina wakes up, she asks Jonathan to make a very serious promise. She asks him never to tell her the hunter's plans against Dracula while the mark remains on her forehead. She fears Dracula may force her to reveal their secrets. Jonathan sadly agrees. Although he keeps his promise, he feels as if a wall has grown between them. That evening Mina is cheerful and calm. Her courage lifts everyone's spirits. For the first time in many days, the group feels a little hopeful. Mina sleeps peacefully through the night. The next morning, Mina asks Van Helsing to come to her room. She says something that surprises everyone. She wants to travel with the hunters. Van Helsing refuses at first because the journey will be dangerous, but Mina explains that Dracula can control her mind whenever he wishes. She fears he could force her to secretly leave Jonathan or reveal the group's plans. She believes she will actually be safer with the hunters than staying behind. Mina tells the hunters they are stronger together. She says they can protect each other, and she may also help them. Because Van Helsing can hypnotize her, she may unknowingly reveal where Dracula is. Van Helsing agrees. He praises Mina's wisdom and decides she will travel with the group to Varna. The hunters meet to prepare for Dracula's arrival. Van Helsing explains the plan. Travel to Varna, board Dracula's ship as soon as it arrives, find the earth box, place a wild rose on the box so Dracula cannot come out, open the box during daylight and destroy Dracula. They know everything must happen quickly. Quincy Morris says he will not wait for the perfect moment. If he finds Dracula's box, he will open it immediately, even if many people are watching. He is ready to risk his own life to destroy Dracula. Van Helsing praises Quincy's bravery and says everyone is willing to make the same sacrifice. Everyone spends the day preparing for the dangerous journey. Jonathan writes his will. He leaves everything to Mina if she survives. If she does not survive, their loyal friends will inherit everything. The group understands that any of them could die during the hunt. As sunset approaches, Mina becomes restless. Jonathan feels that something important is about to happen. He believes every sunrise and sunset now brings a new danger, or perhaps a new clue. He writes everything in his diary so Mina can read it later when she is safe. Just as he finishes writing, Mina calls his name. The hunters are fully prepared for their journey to Varna. Mina joins the mission. Everyone accepts the possibility of death, and the final chase after Dracula is about to begin.